Hello again. Today we're on part 2 of my rebuttal to the I Hate Annuities campaign. Last time we went through the essential context. The negatives they're talking about have mostly to do with variable annuities, which is like 10% of the market. I don't use them, almost nobody does. And they put a national campaign together to target this 10%. My opinion, no, they didn't. They only use generalities. They never tell you they're talking about variable annuities. So, in my opinion, it's 90% baloney. They're trying to make you think that all annuities are bad, and they're not, because they can't think of one bad thing to say about the other 90% of annuities, the ones that I use. So, as I said, we turned the flashlight around. Things look very different if you know what to look for. We covered reasons 1 and 2, high and layer fees. I don't have them. Contract complexity. Basically, nothing I represent is even close to what they have. But the important thing is they're just pointing out the negatives of their own business and showing that their fee structure is designed so they get paid the same, whether they make you 10% or they cost you 30% or more. Remember, 2000 to 2002. I think the S&P 50% down, NASDAQ over 70% down. There is nothing stopping that from happening again. There's no places, there's no stops, protections, except on the guaranteed insurance side. So let's move forward. Again, Michael Carr, Simplifymyretirement.life, license 2630482. Please see my disclaimer video. Glad I remembered that. The reason 3 they say they hate annuities is limited growth potential. Well, in an annuity that guarantees you can't lose a single penny, logic tells you that you and the insurance company are going to have to share the upside together. So yes, you have limited growth potential because you're protected from any loss. Turn the flashlight around and they're saying, don't look at us where you have unlimited loss potential. You could theoretically lose 100% of your investment on our side of the fence, but don't look at us. That's terrible. So either he doesn't understand fixed annuities, which we know is baloney. He understands them completely. He's trying to get you to think something that just doesn't represent reality. So you participate together. I represent the zero loss products. If you're interested in those, I represent some controlled loss products as well. But that's the trade you make. The possibility of an unlimited downside with safety. But the whole point is, if you're 10 years from retirement or already in retirement and you're on track or you have enough money, and somebody offers you a choice between keeping every dollar you have, that's enough, guaranteed, or putting it at risk, which costs you money. Already I should stop. But it's just a chance at more. Which one actually serves your retirement best? I mean, let's be blunt. If you have enough money now and you pay fees and take risks, logic says you may not have enough money later. And what are you going for? Are you going for a 20% possibility of more? What is your advisor telling you the chance is of you making money as compared to losing money? Because in my 65 years, if there's a 20% chance of an upside, there's a 20% chance of a downside. So reason 3, disposed of. And I just want to point out that there's something very important. The people most hurt by market losses aren't the people 30, 40, 50 with an advisor. They can make up money to cover the losses they've experienced. It's the people in the 50s, 60s already in retirement, because there's something that they lay themselves wide open to with an advisor. That's called sequence of returns risk. If you're 3 years, 2 years, 1 year before retirement, and something like 2000 to 2002 happens where half the S&P is gone, Are you going to retire on time? Are you going to retire with 50% less money? Are you going to try and make some more? Are you going to stick with it and pay fees until you get even, which in the NASDAQ's case was, I think, around 15 years? So your life just sits on hold. You're retired. You can't wait 15 years, so that wasn't an option. These are realities. I'm telling you facts that happened based on market changes that people cannot control today either. You have to control your retirement. You don't know how long you're going to live. That's just what I want to go through. So sequence of return risk is a primary reason to have a guaranteed income. A fixed index annuity does not just protect your principal, it protects your lifestyle. So reasons 4 and 5, they separate them. They're pretty much the same. They're just trying to come up with 9 reasons when I think they really only had 5 or 6. So 4 and 5 are lack of liquidity and surrender charges. But they're basically the same thing. Surrender charges are the reasons people say annuities have limited liquidity. Although many people say annuities have no liquidity, misrepresentation again. So I'm going to address them together so I can be honest about them both. Your money in a fixed index annuity is not completely liquid. Neither is it illiquid. So I'm not going to pretend, but here's the full details. In the plans I represent, you can access 7% to 10% of your full balance, depending on which plan, every year, without any penalties whatsoever. If you go outside of that, you encounter what is called a surrender charge. Just rules of thumb, in a typical 10-year annuity, the surrender charges are 10%, 9%, 8% during the 10 years down to 0%. So technically, in year 1, technically the day after you receive your annuity contract, you go, oh, geez, we forgot. You're 90% liquid, and there's nothing the finance side can say against that. You're 90%, and then 91 and 92 until you're 100% liquid. I just want to point that out. The surrender charge may never happen. I have not had a client that turned savings into income and then needed the savings. First of all, everybody has to have at least $50,000 worth of safety or reserves. Some people have a second home, some people have a farm, some people have land, some people have 50 grand cash in the bank, 100. And I always make sure I leave people with that liquidity so that they have opportunities. If the roof and the furnace go at the same time, they don't have to get into their annuity, they can get into their reserves, or they can get into the 10% or 7% of their annuity, or they can use their monthly income to maybe get a 2 years same as cash kind of deal. Options, that's what planning's all about. So my surrender charge may never happen, and so far hasn't. Sure it will. Eventually, somebody will run into a problem, and their money is 90% liquid immediately. But turn the flashlight around, and what are they doing? They're charging you, let's just say, 2% every year. If you've been with a financial advisor, you've already paid an entire surrender charge. Point of fact, you surrender a charge every single month to your financial advisor. And it does not end, and it does not decrease over 10 years. In the 11th year, in the 20th year, in the 30th year, you're still there. You're still paying the fee. So that flashlight gets really bright when they're just shining it in a mirror, basically. And the other thing is, there's something they never mention with mine. There are things that happen in life that you are protected against. If you die, there's no surrender charges. The balance goes to your heirs. If you become terminally ill or chronically ill, diagnosed by a doctor, your surrender charges are waived. Any of that happen with your fees at your advisor? No. Shouldn't laugh at serious situations. But no, it's a system that has no feelings, that does not care. I have plans that if there's money left in your account and you can't perform 2 of 6 activities of daily living, feeding yourself, clothing yourself, you can look them up, they will increase your payment by 50% if you're a couple, or they will double it if you're a single person until your account is empty, or up to 5 years to help you out. That's humane. That's them getting rid of excess charges and giving you access. Because if you empty your account during that period, the agreement doesn't end. They just go from giving you the additional amount back to the original contractual amount. So if you were getting $4,000 a month as a couple, you'd get 50% more, and then after your account's emptied, it goes back to the $4,000 a month. That's humanity. That's insurance companies telling you they care, and that's the most important things. The brokerage fee is certain. It happens every month until the last day you leave. If you pay 2% a year for 20 years, you've made your advisor a nice living off your fees. And again, compare that with me as an independent. I never charge you any fees. So you're way ahead after 20 years of not paying fees, right? I like to, here's my little anecdote. If E.F. Hutton spoke today, nobody would be listening. For those of you old enough to remember those television ads. In the last 20 years, billions of dollars have moved to fee-free or low-fee platforms. See my video, Rise and Fall of the Main Street Advisor. Where do you think all those people came from? They came from the Main Street Advisor. Are you going to stay trapped, or are you going to look into new ways of investing that don't cost you all these fees, that don't take a big chunk of your, or even can't take a big chunk of your retirement? I don't know why you'd want to pay for your advisor's retirement, but paying them 2% over 20 years is a great boon to their comfort, I assure you. So we already went through, we start at 10, there's never declines. They say we have high and layered fees, but I'm going to repeat that as an independent vendor, I charge you no fees at all ever. I get paid a commission once, and the only fee is the 1% approximately insurance policy that continues to pay you after your account goes to zero. Surrender charge is one time declining. You may not ever run into it. They had some legitimate points in 4 and 5, but they really they forgot that they were shining their flashlight in a mirror, I think. I'm just scanning through my notes. Obviously, this is old-fashioned. My notes are made for my radio audience. People stop in now and again, new and all the time, so I repeat some things. But I thank you for your patience, and we will get to part 3 of the 9 reasons this particular investment advisor hates annuities. And then we'll turn the flashlight around and show them how dumb they look and why I love annuities. Thanks again. Bye.